I guess I'm getting ready to go live on Facebook, so discouraging, just level of disappointment in dog training is it just I feel like it's just coming at me. It's unbelievable. All right, guys. My cousin's probably going to be calling in a minute. Should have called her and told her just to walk the dog around. Anyway, I am just more discouraged than ever, so I'm going to tell you what happened. This guy friended me. I actually thought there was hope for this guy. He's a young dog trainer. Seemed to be interested in e-collars, and that's what you need. Then, and I try to encourage people. I try to be supportive. I do. I'm not just a total ego-crippling jerk until I think these people are abusive. Then this kid goes and posts an article called Pressure and Release. Okay, I had a hint from the title, but I said, well, anytime I've heard anybody talking about this, it was in conjunction with terrible training. So I said, let me go and just look at this guy's work real quick before I read this article. I'm not even going to say the guy's name because I think I should just go on these people's videos and say, you've been trolled. It was absolutely awful, awful work. No food. A guy, basically 15 minutes of cranking on a dog using terms like spatial pressure. In other words, you're stepping up on it. So it's now, what do you want its reaction to be to you stepping up on it? It's basically just trying to look around the guy. So I gave up. I just told this guy, you lost me. And I understand they probably have that and everything. I'm sure there's dog show people that want to be dog show judges that think the dogs with the worst conformation have good conformation. It's just an eye, and I don't even, I don't know whether if it's an eye for art, because people need to understand if you're training dogs, if you're a serious pro, you're viewing dog training in an artistic fashion. You're acting on intuition, and you're viewing it in an artistic fashion. Not, I'm going to step up on this dog, and I'm going to show him. This guy didn't even look like a dog trainer. I looked at 2 or 3 of the videos. They were awful. It's just, I can't turn on a dog training video without seeing these people rubbing the how do these people not figure out that rubbing the head doesn't help you? If dogs wanted their head rubbed, they'd be up against bushes all the time going like that, rubbing their head, so that when you did it, they would think, oh my God, this is so much better than rubbing my head against a tree. The state of dog training in this country is awful. If this guy, and maybe I'm awful, I can't be friends with somebody who would promote pressure on what's. I'm going to tell you what's wrong with any kind of attached tool, whether you're putting something on their head, on their neck, a chain, any of these things. The reason you're doing that is because you failed at controlling the dog at free agency. You didn't even have a plan to start out to control the dog in free agency. I can guarantee you what your plan to control the dog in free agency was. Sit. Set up a time. Oh, that's my Facebook friend. I know, girl. No, this video isn't really for you, but it is. It is in a way. This is what you have to understand. You failed at controlling the dog in free agency. So you're now stepping it up, and now you're now putting an attached tool on. If your methodology is to, okay, so here's the pressure and release. Okay, well, how many times do you do that? Do you keep doing it? Do you keep stepping up on the dog? I don't understand. They just had all this writing over the video. I showed it to Mike just to be sure, that it was awful. Rubbing its head, he's rubbing its head, and then it, boom, jettisons away. I said, well, if the methodology is the rubbing its ears is designed to jettison it away, maybe they could utilize that by getting it to go to its place. I don't, I told Mike yesterday, there's like 9 people that know not to rub their head. That many. No, 9 people besides me and him. Mark. No, there's probably like 100 and something, but in the all of the world, and you just need to understand. It's painful for me now that I understand the clarity these things see the world with, and any you coming at them cancels out them following you. Any amount of you going at them. So if we're doing something called spatial pressure, I'll tell you, give you a great big environment, and that's not going to be a problem because that dog's going to be gone unless you establish yourself as the component of free agency. Before you attach anything to the dog, you're going to be in trouble. You are going to be in trouble. If you said, no, 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 no. You put a pinch collar on one, they're so damn dumb, they don't know when that in our 40-foot line isn't there. I'm ready to give up, you guys. It's just, you can tell people 5,000 times, don't touch them, and they'll still touch them. And they've got to think to themselves, and I have to ask myself, what motivation do I have to keep telling people this, and they still do it? And I think that there's hope. I really thought there was hope for Abraham. I did, and I was trying to help him. I was fixing to try to help him learn how to do a trained retrieve, but that canceled it all out. That's like putting an attached tool on a dog. The second I saw that this kid thought that that was this god-awful, horrible trainer should be promoted, I know. You have to be careful who you let in your life, and there are nefarious dog trainers out there that Nazi woman, what was her name? I can't even remember. The one that wanted Crash to get put to sleep. Oh yeah, she was evil. Just friended me just to try, they don't really care. If you said these people are much more committed to developing better ways to train dogs than you, and the prong collar has not even begun to scratch the surface, or the chain collar, we are only scratching the surface what can be achieved with this tool. People shouldn't even, if you're going to start out with dog training, just like with any profession, you want to be a contractor. I don't think they sit there and you get the first day, say, here's a hand drill. Start here. They're going to show, let me show you where we're at with this. Let me show you this bad boy. It'll build the whole house for you. Zoom, 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 And that's what you're doing if you're using attached tools and you're going to use physical strength to manipulate the dog and teach it to follow you. And that's going to be fine. You may get wonderful results until you take the thing off. And you are not a part of free agency. It's just how their minds work. And they say people have, and there may be some genetic function for it, but like the reason you forget things when you walk into another room is because your mind now has to process we're in a different environment, and dogs have that big time. That's why to me, any putting a leash on and calling a dog to you is ridiculous. It doesn't have anything to do with teaching a dog. That has nothing to do with teaching a dog to come to you. Don't even do that. You would be better off if the only thing you did with the leash was tie that thing around your waist and walk around. Most people are past the point of being able to do that because they've fortified the dog. I just can't imagine. If I said to you, my plan is to take this dog, attach a tool to it, and show this mofo, you're going to do what I say. Who knows? I'd probably get thumbs up on that. I've lost all faith in everything. That people can't see that this guy would see work done with e-collars and then, and it's like, well, Kelly, if you went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, you would not be able to tell what's the most expensive. I'd say absolutely not. That's why I'm not in art. I'm an artist, but I'm not in art. I don't know what else to say to people. It is depressing. I can only empathize with, the people I consider my contemporaries. The painfulness of it all, the hopelessness, telling people over and over and over. And the first thing they're going to do is say, sit and rub its head. It's just, I try to explain to people, what if you brought your kids over here and I didn't even know them and I just sit? And why are you saying that? Well, I wanted to see if they would sit. Who cares? Who cares? Every dog sits. Once you put an attach tool on this dog and say, I'm going to force you every time you do that, you're going into the deficit. You're going into the deficit. And if you said, well, someone did that to me, I wouldn't be. Yeah, you would. Yeah, women put leashes on their husbands all the time. It doesn't work. The husbands are miserable. You know, if you, if you said, well, I've got a flow chart in my mind when I put an attached tool in, no, you don't. No, you don't. You've got a very plan of correcting the dog for pulling or being able to control the dog, not in free agency. You're putting a huge demarcation line between obedience and free agency. Thus, every time you put the thing on, you're eroding. And if you said, I can go to any house in America right now, and they'll say, our dog doesn't run off. Jesus Christ, they all do. These people can't keep these dogs around. Got out the door, got loose. But what do you mean, loose? Was it that interested in jettisoning away from you? It sounds like it. And you have to understand, and Michelle, that must have been a brutal lesson yesterday and you need to ask yourself, if this dog is more interested in the car than me, what has the car got that I don't have? And maybe it's indifference. If you said dogs like cars, yeah, they do. Anyway, I'm just depressed. I need somebody with clarity. Not that I don't have clarity, but that they don't, and that's, if you said, what is the biggest flaw that these people, they're not seeing any big picture. They're in a little microcosm of them going at the dog. God. That's my cousin. She's going to call back in a minute. I don't answer. But that's what you guys have to think of. If you were given, and that's why, kids leave home. They don't stay at home with their parents because the coming at them thing. Eventually, you outgrow that and you want to go out in the world. And that's the same thing with the dog. And then they go out in the world, then they realize how good they had it, and they want to come back home and live on the parents' couch. I did the same thing. You realize how good you had it. And so, in a way, that's what you have to do with the dog. You can't. You can't set out using attached tools without establishing yourself as the fixture of free agency. It's not going to work long term. And if you said, well, how fast do you see results? Real fast. You should be seeing default recalls real fast. So if you're at your house training your dog and this thing isn't slingshotting back, you're not doing it right. And you're not going to get it with, especially when people raise them from a puppy. Obviously, Mandy, if we would have gotten hold of Parker when he was, it's just easier to manipulate them. Once you show them who you are, they don't forget. And if you said, well, when someone shows me who they are, I don't forget. Yeah, you don't forget either. They're that conscious. You have to say to yourself, they are so conscious of micro movements. If I'm not aware of them, and every movement I make is a crude pulling gesture, I'm shooting myself in the foot. You need to keep it. You need to write down before you go any farther. I have established myself as the fixture of free agency in this dog. And it cannot get enough of me. If it's trying to get away from you, people tell me all the time, it heals, it sits, it downs, it does everything. Until the first distraction comes along, and it's like, then it doesn't do anything. So, all right, you guys, I've got to go. I don't know what Pam's doing out there, but that crazy dog of hers, she just has to adopt this dog that has all kinds of hinky behavior. It's just, And the more comfortable it gets here, the hinkier it acts. I guess in some ways it's good for the show, because the world is full of hinky dogs. Hinky dogs. All right, guys, we'll be right back. We're going to do some good episodes. So I'm going to try. You guys, please make me some videos and, give me some hope that it isn't, that the dog training industry is not so hopelessly fractured that we're going to flounder on with prong collars and choke chains. I would want to hope that if I was 23 years old and just got into dog training and I saw an electric collar, I'd say, I want that. Not, I'm going to start with a hand drill, a labor-intensive thing. And, if you said, well, I'm going to use this spatial pressure to step up on these dogs and show them I'm the alpha. Okay, you want the owner to do that? The owner's already tried that. That's why Parker is so fortified and goes into the high-pitched screaming. Apparently, the trainer, Aaron, which someone needs to ask this guy, where did you learn to use an e-collar? Because it wasn't him. Told her to just keep hitting the dog with the nick over and over again. So that's become a part of the sequence too. I'm just depressed. I feel like it's hopeless. I feel like it's hopeless that people don't want to learn. If it's that they don't want to learn, if you said, well, humans are hardwired to touch everything, that's why they can't stop touching the dog, and they can't stop, then I would say then that explains why they have laws that you just can't touch other people. They ought to have laws that you just can't touch other people's dogs. And they just, if you said, well, it gets all excited and everything, yes, but 10 minutes later, it finds you boring as hell. That you can't understand. That's like, well, I'll go on Plenty of Fish and I'll find a boyfriend. I'll be all over him. I'll text him every 2 seconds. Hug him and hug him and hug him. Anyway, you guys, I gotta go. God forbid she's out there walking around. I'll be right back.